I'd like to call this meeting to order. Can I get a motion, please, that the agenda for the March 3rd, 2020 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented? Councillor Bevan will make that motion. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Can I get a motion, please, that the minutes of the February 18th, 2020 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented? Councillor Wilkinson will make that motion. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Can I get a motion, please, that the minutes of the February 25th, 2020 special meeting of council be adopted as presented? Councillor Curry will make that motion. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. We have no public hearings, but we do have a delegation tonight from Pembina Pipelines. So I'd like to ask our delegation to please step forward and introduce yourselves. We'll also go around the table quickly to introduce members of council. So we will start with Councillor Bevan.
I thought you were going to call me something too.
Yeah.
Oh, I would. I believe that one for sure. Councillor Trevor Bevan.
Councillor Jackie Curry.
Councillor Jean Schmutter.
Mayor Kevin Zahara, welcome.
Dylan Filardo.
Mayor for the day.
Mayor for the day.
Perfect.
Councillor.
Councillor Troy Sorensen.
And Councillor Crystal Meyer.
Yes, it's me. I'm Rob Smith, District Manager for Pembina for the Northern Lights District, which goes from High Prairie to Edson to St. Albert. It's a kind of a triangle-shaped district.
And I'm Leanne Chartrand. I'm the Community Affairs Advisor for Pembina Pipeline. Thank you for having us here today, and I'm so honored to meet your Mayor of the Day. That is a fantastic program. Have the youth involved with local council. Our purpose here today is really to do a formal introduction of Pembina Pipeline to council, something that we're trying to do across all of the areas that we have operations in. We really believe in having strong relations with our key stakeholders, and of course our local elected officials are key stakeholders to the operations and projects that Pembina proposes in your communities. So we hope this is a start to a great relationship with Edson Council. Okay, so I just need to use the arrow key and we're good. All right. So Pembina is a leading North American transportation and midstream service provider. For 65 years, we've been safely and reliably connecting oil, natural gas, and natural gas liquids production to the markets that need it. Pembina owns an integrated system of pipelines that transport various hydrocarbon liquids and natural gas products. We process, transport, and store our customers' products safely while protecting the environment and delivering on its commitments to shareholders, community, government, and Aboriginal groups. This balanced approach to conducting business is essential in building trust with our stakeholders. I mentioned that Pembina is a midstream company, so I want to make sure everybody understands what midstream means. There's three main businesses in the energy industry. The upstream producers are the folks that look for the product below surface and then pull it up out of the ground. The midstream companies like Pembina are the companies that process, store, market, and transport the commodities like crude oil, natural gas liquids, and sulfur. The midstreamer provides the vital link between the petroleum producers and the areas in the population centers where the consumers need the product. And the last piece is the downstream. That's the companies that are doing the refining of the product, the petrochemical plants, the petroleum product distributors, and the natural gas distribution companies. The downstream industry touches every province and territory in Canada, wherever consumers are located, and they provide thousands of products that we use every day. This slide just gives you an idea of where those products are used to make the items that we use every single day in our lives. Our purpose is to deliver integrated infrastructure solutions that connect global markets, and we accomplish that by ensuring our investors receive sustainable industry-leading total returns, that our employees see us as an employer of choice and value our safe, respectful, collaborative, and fair work culture, that our communities welcome us and recognize the net positive impact of our social and environmental commitments, and that our customers choose us first for reliable and value-added services. Our network of pipelines and facilities connects us to the land and the communities where we operate, and we hold ourselves to high standards for responsible development. Pembina's pipeline right-of-way is regularly inspected through ground observations and flyovers using helicopters and fixed-wing planes. Having open dialogue with our stakeholders from the first time we knock on a neighbor's door to when the pipeline is decommissioned is extremely important to us. We always encourage stakeholders to reach out to our field offices if they have any questions or concerns. Pembina's control center is based in our Sherwood Park office. It is the eyes and ears of our pipeline system. Operators at our control center manage the pipelines, control the product shipments, and respond to any abnormal conditions they may see. We are also prepared to handle any situation. Pembina pipeline incidents are extremely rare, and should an incident occur, Pembina activates our Emergency Management Plan, or EMP. We use the EMP to prepare for a response in the unlikely event of an incident, and the EMP includes standards and processes to support the safety of the public, our workers, and the environment. We run rigorous exercises, training, and emergency response drills to ensure that we're ready to respond in the unlikely event of an incident. Training activities range from tabletop scenarios where we review procedures to full-scale exercises where we field test our equipment and practice our response skills. Before starting any new project, Pembina takes steps to limit our potential impact on the environment. We conduct studies and assessments to understand the local environment features and potential effects that the project may have to soil, land, air, plants, wildlife, watershed, and historical sites. We work with appropriate regulatory bodies and include environmental evaluations as a fundamental step in our construction planning. Communities put their trust in Pembina, allowing us to operate in their backyards. We honor that trust by building long-term relationships with the communities where we live and work. We work hard to understand local perspectives and to address any potential social impacts our operations may have. We proudly participate in local events, engage with Aboriginal communities, and give back through Pembina's Community Investment Program. We realize the success of our business is directly tied to the support of our neighbours, many of whom are Aboriginal. We take the time to get to know the Aboriginal communities near our operations to learn and understand their perspectives. And while meeting with the Aboriginal groups, we take an opportunity to explore how we can work together on health, education, training, employment, and business development. Pembina has implemented a workforce development program that aims to increase Aboriginal employment at Pembina and within the industry supporting a more diverse workforce. And now Rob is going to speak about Pembina's regional presence.
Now you get to the good part. So, this is a picture of Pembina's footprint, and as you can see, where we're located is over the prime areas of hydrocarbon development, and it is to the north, all the way up into the Fort McMurray area, down through Taylor, Fort St. John, through this area, and then also down also in the Chicago area. So we've got a large presence of both pipelines and gas processing, and then fractionators. So the pipelines, Pembina operates 18,000 kilometers of pipeline, so stretched end to end. That would go from across North America from west to east 3 times. And the gas that we process would heat 11.7 million homes. The actual district that I look after and a real key complex there is in the Circle, and this area is where we have my 2 offices. I've got an office in Whitecourt and an office in Valley View. Got about 100 staff members distributed through that whole area. We cover everything from just outside of Edmonton, west to Edson, north up through Fox Creek, Whitecourt, Valley View, and then east to High Prairie, where another area takes care of west of there. So very, very busy area. The Fox Creek area is busy. This area is a great potential for growth. So as mentioned, we've got 3 gas plants. The Duvernay gas plant, This is a new gas plant by Fox Creek. It's actually just slightly north of the town of Fox Creek, very close to our Fox Creek terminal. We also have truck terminals where we actually unload crude and condensate and natural gas liquids, and then a number of pumping stations. So many people spread over a large area. And also we have actually people based in Edson as well. This is the furthest southwest of my district. So we've got a number of projects underway. The latest one that we're doing is called Phase 7 project, and that's a pipeline, 20-inch pipeline that's going from the town of La Glace, north of Grand Prairie, through Valley View to Fox Creek. The intention is to segregate our pipes. Right now we ship multiple products through the same pipe, and there's mixing and there's issues there. So the intent is eventually, once all the phases are done, to have segregated pipes that go from Taylor all the way to the refineries and the delivery in Edmonton. And just as an example, coming out of Fox Creek, once we get everything up, we should be shipping about 1.2 million barrels a day out of that facility. So for this region, we actually ship product north. We have two pipelines from here, one that goes north to Fox Creek Station, and one that goes into where we call Windfall. It's on the Virginia Hills turnoff on Highway 43. So we ship product up there, but years ago actually we used to ship product from there to here. So right now the market is taking the product from here up to the pipelines, and then they go into the city, into the fractionators of the refineries. So Phase 7 is a 220-kilometer project. It's underway right now. We've got about 700 people working on the project right now. Quite a number of First Nation communities are doing the clearing, brushing, and the environmental monitoring. So we have also the Duvernay gas plant, which is by Fox Creek. That's another project that's growing. We'll have some pictures shortly, but started off as a little tiny gas plant, and then more condensate stabilization. And what we do for Fox Creek is we have a partnership with Chevron. So as Chevron grows and expands, we build the gas processing. So they stay at the upstream end doing the drilling and exploration, and then we do the processing and the shipping, and then we actually do fractionation. So in a place called Redwater outside of Edmonton, they take natural gas liquids, which is a mixture of propane, ethane, butane, and they separate it into the spec products, saleable products. And then they ship propane by train all over the world. So Duvernay is a gas plant by Fox Creek. Duvernay 2 was finished. Duvernay 3, they're just building. Again, it's a 100 million cubic foot gas plant. Also with 20,000 barrels of condensate stabilization. So it's a big process. Again, mid-2020. And then also with that, there's because of the exploration of the gas there is sour gas, very low concentration of sour gas, but again, a new process, and we're starting that plant as well. Now that'll be going concurrently, getting that all going. And then with that, there's still potential for expansion of the Duvernay gas plant, or as Chevron ramps up their production, then we have to match that. So a picture here is the Duvernay plant, and this is fairly typical of how a Pembina gas plant starts. So on the far left, that was the initial plant. Duvernay 1 is what it was called. Then to the volume doubled, so then they went to Duvernay 2, then they have to go to NGL storage. NGL is natural gas liquid. This is unrefined propane, so it's a mixture, it's not pure propane. And space for Duvernay 3, and then with the natural gas that comes up in this region, this Duvernay formation, it's a fairly new formation, is very, very liquid rich. So the liquid that comes up with natural gas is called condensate. It's a very light oil. It's consistency of gasoline. And this is what is shipped up to Fort McMurray to mix with the heavy oil to dilute it like paint thinner. Not the toxicity of paint thinner, but similar thing, so condensate is the real market right now, and Duvernay, and why we're shipping product from this area is because of the condensate going north to the oil sands. So we see the condensate stabilization is at 1 and 2, and then 3 coming. So this started off as a little tiny plant, has grown tremendously in the Fox Creek area. So with the community, and this is a key thing with my team, is the support and the effort and involvement with community and this community as well. So the building the dynamic team is to support the operations of Northern Light. So again, over 100 local people working for this team. We're actually probably closer to 120 now, 130. $648,000 in community investment through this region, and that's in multiple towns, organizations, from little tiny community organizations to partnerships, long-term partnerships with sportsplex or multiplexes, things like that. And volunteerism. My team of 100 volunteered 1,400 hours last year. And that's after work hours, not just during work hours. We do additionally volunteer during work hours as well. And then growing the Alberta economy, focused on the Western Canadian Sedimentary Basin, which is an area where there's multiple different formations that we're involved with. So again, the support for the community, the involvement with the community, and B, the partners with the community. What's that?
Did I go too fast? Sorry.
No, you're going just fine. So also with this, as Leanne had mentioned, our partnerships with the Aboriginal communities, we're involved there with career affairs, employment, sponsorship. We do apprenticeship programs. We've focused on a lot of the people who probably would not likely get into employment in the oil and gas industry due to lack of experience. So we've done a variety of different things, focused on First Nations as just field operators. We've got people as apprenticeships for trades, and we're also looking at RAP students. So we're taking youth as young as 16 years old, and they're starting an apprenticeship. So they go part-time school and part-time work, and then at the end of when they graduate, they've actually got all the hours they need to go to their first year apprenticeship school. And so this is an example of the community events and involvements that we've had, multiple things throughout the years. Again, we look at partnerships, short-term things that'll make an impact. What we don't focus on is anything that somebody my age can afford. So the youth or the seniors, especially the youth who can't get into sports or cultural events, things like that, or committees, teams. Plus also sponsoring and building things. Worked with libraries, worked with different organizations, seniors groups who needed they have a drop-in center to work with building the kitchen up so they can use that and get it certified, things like that. So we're always looking for both financial and volunteer partnerships with organizations and groups throughout the region. And actually are seeking committees, groups who are looking for help from us so that they know, and this is one of the reasons coming here, besides giving away my house, which nobody wants. We've got a house in Edson that we had to buy when we bought our land for our facility there. And we literally want to give away a house to a deserving organization, and we would move it off of our property. The reason it's sitting there, it's a concern because it's a liability and it's a risk. And if it's not there, it could be vandalized, damaged. It's a massive house that somebody hopefully will want one day. So the Pembina, this is not just in this district, or this region. Pembina corporately is a huge volunteer. We're the #1 sponsor for the United Way in Calgary. Every region, every district has community investment and community engagement activities. And it is truly one of our core values is to support the communities we're in, not just when we are trying to do a project, not when we're just trying to get approval for things, but to create an ongoing sustainable partnership. Our members of our team live in these communities, so we want to support these communities. And that's not just through volunteerism, it's also supporting the local businesses as well. Because if we don't have the local businesses, we won't have the local communities, and then it's going to be really tough for us attracting and retaining people. So again, it's a long-term sustainable partnership. Again, Pembina has grown tremendously over the years. We've doubled 4 times in the last 14 years that I've been back with Pembina. Again, growing, helping, rewarding, treating people very good, working with the communities, all of that. And so right from the beginning where we look at our new projects, the design, the implementation, the consultation, the agreement. So for example, this latest project we did, Phase 7, we started off in October, and by March, we had all the landowners agreeing to running the pipeline through. The First Nation communities all supported it. We looked at the partnerships of what they could be during the initial stages of the construction, and also the clearing and partnerships with that, and then right through to afterwards. So right now we're just actually at the beginning of the construction end of it. Again, working at a long sustainable partnership relationship with the communities and areas that we operate in, so that we are the employer of choice and the employer that the communities want us to have, so that when they think of Pembina, it's a net positive impact that we have on the community. Again, it's a shared responsibility with the pipelines. One of the key things that can't be stressed is that those are on the screen. There's a pipeline marker, which means there's a pipeline under there, which is to make sure that people realize there's a pipeline there and take the precautions. Call us if they're going to dig. Click before you dig is the latest thing. So that and we will come out and we will locate the pipe, and we will make sure that what you're going to do will not impact yourself, us, or the environment. It's so much easier to deal with things before anything goes bad. So we want to do it. We actually have teams of people specifically for helping the landowners, farmers, or others to work around our pipelines on a safe basis. So also there's the, and for the right of way, there's the land request information. And all of this we can get to you as well. Again, we very much appreciate your time for us to be able to tell you what we're doing and how we are.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation, and we appreciate your involvement in our community and creating employment. Certainly a strategic priority for our council. So thanks for engaging with us here this evening. And I'll open the floor to questions from council. We're going to go with Councillor Wilkinson and then Councillor Chenard.
Okay, just comments actually. I just absolutely loved your words when you said we have great potential for growth. That's what we're looking for, Edson, so thank you. And Leanne, do you mind just elaborating on what your partnership is with Trees Canada? When you said that you're a partner with Tree Canada as well as Ducks Unlimited?
Yeah, absolutely.
How does your partnership work there?
Our partnership includes tree planting in designated areas. Our staff go out to those areas and plant all the trees in that in that area based on whatever the project is with Trees Canada. So we kind of provide the manpower to get those trees
Oh, I
planted.
see, okay,
Yeah.
and they provide trees or?
Yeah, they provide
They
trees.
provide
We
the
do
trees.
have a funding component to that where we have given dollars to Tree Canada to implement this program, and then our staff go out alongside with other volunteers and actually do the tree planting.
So
Yeah.
different situations for, we've done tree planting with seniors and with school children at the schools. So then, because the Trees Canada representative is so good, this woman who comes out, she knows everything that could ever be about a tree. But she's also is really good with the kids, because explaining how they need to be planted, how you need to water it, why you gotta turn it this way. Like I planted trees and I'm surprised they lived with the amount that I didn't know. But again, she goes in there and it's like, oh, this is what we're gonna do, and you know, everybody be a tree. You gotta have sunshine, you gotta have water and all that. And again, it's not only is the trees, but the educational level and then the support for the communities. So we've done this at quite a few different schools, or actually just the communities when they're trying to do beautification of the community with Trees Canada.
Our community investment program kind of runs in two different ways. We have our corporate sponsorships, which are the big ticket. Tree Canada, Fuel for Thought is our signature breakfast program that we run
okay.
through the schools. So we have our big corporate community investment initiatives, and then we have our local community investment that can sometimes enhance those corporate investments, or sometimes they're just completely standalone decisions that are made at a local level with Rob and his team for this region. If the request is uploaded into our system, Rob and his team review those requests with the local knowledge that they have about the area, and they ask, and then they make the decision about approval or declining, or maybe, you know, if you're asking for $50,000, maybe he's agreeing to $30,000, so it's that type of a bit of a negotiation. But those local asks get managed locally by people that know the area, rather than, you know, our staff sitting in Calgary. So we like that approach.
Well, thank you very much for your replies, and thanks for the presentation, very informative.
Councillor Chenard.
Okay, I'll comment. I wanted to ask the other question. My question was, or one of them was, if a local organization wanted your support to charity, you answered that. This house, tell me more.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, where's this house?
It is kind of just east of town. It's a 6-bedroom house, 2-story, or it's a house with a daylight basement. We've winterized it, and but literally, the thought was, well, when we bought the property to put our facility on and our pipelines and our valving system, there was a landowner there. The landowner didn't obviously want it to live, because there's potential for growth for there, to putting pumping stations and other things, truck and loading potentially eventually one day. So this house, literally, we've got a house that we don't want, that we've got no use for. It's surrounded by trees, nice house, but we don't want it there either. So what we want is an organization who wants a house, because we've reached out to, I think it was a halfway house or a group that could do that. But the problem is the house is one part. You have to have the money to actually support the house afterwards. So we truly want to give away a house. I know it sounds odd, and we've had it estimated. Like it's oh gosh, I think it's 1,400 square feet at one floor. So it's not a small house. Too big a house for my lot up at Slave Lake. So.
Where my question was, like the house, because we're always working on stuff and we make them different ideas, like we said, halfway house, etc. So if some organization had a plan, that they could probably approach you, and they of course have to have the land. So it could be a possibility of cooperation, moving the house by Pembina Pipe.
Yes.
If they had the land, they could set it up. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Because that's what I'm looking at. I don't know what shape the house, the way you're describing it. There's always been talk about halfway house, etc., that people are working on. So it'd be the word to get out there, if not here, maybe somewhere close.
Absolutely, and you know if we don't get rid of the house, give it away, somebody's going to vandalize it, burn it down, who knows? And it's also right by our facility, so we don't want that to happen. It's a great house for somebody, but not us. It's not a new house. It's, I think, maybe late 80s.
Right.
It's not up to date, but it's all functional. Everything works. I don't know, I think there's 2 or 3 bathrooms, 4 or 5 bedrooms, maybe 6 bedrooms, big, huge living room. It's all good. All we need to do is, and to move it, I mean, that would be all our cost. We chop down the trees and we need, all we want to do is take the house to somebody who could use the house.
Donate it, move it to a good cause.
Absolutely, that's our focus.
How would someone, I don't know if that's a question, who would the organization contact? Who would be the contact? So if
Me.
they have the plan, they would get a hold of you. So I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'll let them answer the
All right.
question, but I was
Thank you,
intrigued by
Councillor
the
Schmidt.
house.
Councillor Curry.
Through the chair, thank you for your presentation. Just wanted to go into that, so the local communities for people accessing, we just do that online, and do you guys have, is it always open, is it an annual thing, or people can regularly be doing that?
It's always open. At the bottom of the slide, it says to learn more about community investment, visit our website.
Okay.
So then there's an option to upload if you have a grant package or a request package. You can upload all that information. You'll be asked to give as much detail as you can about what your ask is, and then every month those asks are reviewed by Rob and his team, and decisions are usually made then. Sometimes we have to go back and get more information depending on what information's been included. But we get a budget every year, but that budget is allocated out throughout the year.
Okay.
Maybe by end of November, we're out of money, depending on,
Yeah,
you know,
what's
the
your
asks.
fiscal year for that? Can I ask
It
that?
starts in January.
January.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
So our goal is to give away all the money.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, saving it for the next year doesn't count.
Okay.
And we have requests from a couple $100 to multiple years of $50,000.
Okay.
Which
So-
is also an option, yes.
Yeah, everything in between. What we look at with that is who's going to be impacted, and if we didn't do this, would this be able to happen? So, say, the Oilmans would probably not be one that would do this, but kids' sports, gymnastics team, we've supported, things like that. We also do, instead of just supporting the team, it's basketballs at $75 a basketball, things like that.
Yeah.
Do you want to follow up?
Yeah, one follow-up for that. Do you have to be a nonprofit to do it,
Yes.
to apply?
Correct, yeah, we do not financially support for-profit organizations. And on our website, we do have a very clear set of community investment pillars that will kind of guide you through, you know, what we would like to see through our investment. And I think we even say, you know, we will not support religious affiliations, political affiliations, those types of things.
Or
So we do
for-profit.
have, or for-profits, yeah. So we do have some clear guidelines about what doesn't quite.
And what we look at is also, say an ask is for $10,000. How much is the organization actually fundraised towards that? If it's zero, well, that will be a different story. But if say they've raised $4,000 and they need $8,000 in total, well, that's a 50-50 split. There's lots of effort and work involved there for sure. Also, what's the long-term thing? Like we don't often sponsor events because it's one and done, and nobody knows if you're not there, you don't get it. But say equipment for the hospital, it was special chairs that they take IV or you get IV on. There was one for something that it shocks people for circulation. They needed special curtains in the emergency ward. Or we did basketballs recently. Like real good basketballs are not cheap. We found out. I didn't know.
We found out, yeah.
So stuff like that, or the seniors' place, they were getting in trouble in Valley View because their fence was in disrepair. So and they had no money for that. So we helped with repairing the fence, and it was otherwise it would have taken all of their funding that they had for that year to repair the fence, and they wouldn't have been able to do any programs. So an incredible wide variety. And why we do this, and the key thing is the more information about the request, the greater chance it can be approved quickly. Because then we can go through and say, yes, this makes sense. Does this meet our criteria? Does it meet the pillars? Who's going to be involved? What's the long-term sustainability of this? Good to go.
Right?
And I think, just to add to that, is that I think about, we would prefer to sponsor or provide funding to Minor Hockey Association, not the Edson Wildcats. I have no idea what your hockey team is here, I'm sorry, but do you know what I mean? Like, so it's more about the association that then is providing those funds to all of the kids that are part of minor hockey, not just one exclusive team.
Yeah.
And that's where the basketballs or equipment comes into play, because those will probably sit at your school where the kids practice, or at the facility where, maybe the public also then has the ability to use those pucks or basketballs or whatever the equipment is that we would put towards the donations. So we don't tend to support an individual team, rather the association or the greater good of the area where all the public can benefit from.
And that's another criteria. How many people would actually benefit from this? The more people that benefit, well, the more worthwhile. If it's going to be a handful of people, well, that may not be something that we can get our dollars to.
And last year, Pembina's community investment budget for all of corporate Pembina was $10 million, and for 2020 it is also $10 million. So we take this part of doing our business very, very seriously, and like Rob said, we want to spend the money in the communities where we have operations. So.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Bevan.
Through the chair. You ship everything by pipeline except your water, you haul it with trucks and that?
We don't process the water from our gas plants.
Yeah.
We have disposal wells.
Well, you have disposal wells on site. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess the other question is,
Our sulfur is trucked out.
your sulfur still trucked
Yes.
out, yeah. You don't have any rail lines any place in that, so.
We do have rail, but not for sulfur.
But not
It's
for
for
sulfur,
propane.
okay.
We ship diesel out of Redwater as well, from the
Oh, okay.
Northwest Refinery.
Yeah, I know where that is, yeah.
And now, actually, pictures way back, but once we just acquired Vancouver Wharves, so we actually are importing and exporting product there, sulfur and diesel there. And then there's actually jet fuel pipeline that goes from Westminster over to Vancouver Wharf as well, that we just acquired recently. And then we have also recently the Cochin pipeline that brings condensate from Chicago up to Redwater, and then we're a partial owner of the Alliance pipeline that ships the natural gas to Chicago.
So we could get Norm out to planting some trees maybe one of these times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we could make something happen, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Yeah, we're running short on time here, so
Yes.
thank you very much for your presentation. I just have one question. How many people do you know how many people are employed in the Edson area for Pembina?
One
Just one?
one permanent resident
Okay.
here. We have people come out of Whitecourt for
Okay.
this. And as we grow this area, this is an area that's kind of just staying as it is right now, but there's huge potential in this area. And as it grows and goes, we're going to be expanding this area. And I mean, we're waiting for Trans Mountain pipeline to be built. And the volumes are going to go up from there. And then there's other areas. What happens is with the pipeline is that we actually get, as the area grows, product goes by truck, and then they unload as truck, and then we connect as a pipeline, and then they go out further, and it gets trucked, and then we go out, and that's kind of how we've grown the whole system. So right now, our two pipelines, taking from the plants in this area up to Fox Creek area.
All right. As we speak about growth, we do have some projects that we are hoping that will grow in our community. So we might be looking to you for some support for that. So thank you for your presentation.
Especially, with all of our communities, with our offices, we have an office in Whitecourt and an office in Valley View, and we've got a large presence in Fox Creek. But we have partnered throughout all that region and also down to San Gudo, not a small community, High Prairie, and actually even west to Bolton, from west from Bellevue, and places at Merithorpe. So again, this is, your community is one of the communities in there, not where we have the offices, but still a community that we want to have a partnership with.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, can I just
Thank you.
ask one thing? Do you have a card that I could get for that house? I belong to Evergreen Foundation and it's affordable housing. To me, it's just wonderful.
No, but actually, just,
Where are you located? In the White Court office mostly?
no, I mean, about, I'll give, just take my phone number,
Okay,
780-978-2987. I did not bring a card,
okay, that's fine, just as long as we can get hold of you.
and it's
because-
Rob Smith, District Manager.
Yeah.
So if you phone the White Court office, or you phone the Valley View office, they'll
Yeah,
track
we'll
you
get hold
down.
of you. Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Bevan?
Okay,
Through the chair, I have you in my contacts here. Do you mind if I share your contact? with you?
Absolutely. Okay, thanks.
I have them in contacts.
share with all.
Yeah.
So you're welcome to stay, but we understand if you'd like to go. I know that you're from out of town, so.
Yep,
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you. All right, we have no reading of bylaws tonight. Reports from administration. Can I get a motion, please, that council approve the transfer of the listed 2019 capital project funding from grants to reserves? Councillor Byer will make that motion, and we have our general manager of corporate services with us, Sarah Bittner. If you'd like to walk us through it.
Sure. I think it's just the fairly, most of it's in the memo there, just due to an ongoing grant application, our MSI is tied up. We need to be compliant for our 2019 audit, so I'm just requesting that we move that funding from grants to reserves.
All right, any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. That was easy. Can I get a motion, please, that in accordance with the Alberta Regulation number 281, council grant Edson Tumblers Gymnastics Club a property tax exemption status effective the 2020 tax year and be allowed this exemption for a maximum of 3 consecutive years, taxation years, 2020 to 2022 inclusive. Councillor Bevan will make that motion, and we have our corporate services manager with us, Michael Passy. Got your name right this time. You want us to walk through it? I know that it was talked about at committee.
Sure. It's pretty well the same here as we had at committee. I was able to confirm that they will be the beneficiaries of the tax exemption, and that will then be going forward to the 2022 tax year that they'll be exempt from that, as long as they're that property.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Councillor Chenard.
Where are they at? I'm just looking on here and I should know, but they're building, I mean, I'm not against giving tax, I'm just curious where they're located, where they need tax exemption.
Just on the attachment, it has their address there.
It's like the safety store.
Oh, okay, so I guess then further up, I did find it, I knew I found it earlier. So would it be the entire building or just a portion of
The
it?
portion that they occupy.
Okay, so then we would be, the property owner would be give them a tax exemption for the portion that they occupy?
Yep.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Councillor Byer.
Through the chair to administration, just wanted to confirm that this tax exemption would follow them in whatever location they're at.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Can I get a motion, please, that council amend Schedule A, Appendix C of the fees, rates, and charges bylaw number 2214 as presented, and Councillor Sorensen will make that motion. And Councillor Chenard will leave the room due to potential pecuniary interest. We have Mr. Thompson with us here today. I think it was discussed at committee last week. Mr. Thompson, do you want to give us an update? Or is there anything new to add?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did discuss this at the February 11th committee meeting regarding information that was received by council about the regional surcharge on mattresses at $20, and administration recommends that we impose the same $20 surcharge at our landfill so that we don't become a receiver of mattresses in the region, and we recover our costs in dealing with them. So I have that RFP before you today.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bevan.
Through the chair, I'm glad we're doing this. Everybody's going to it. Do we know what it's going to cost us to ship these out to Edmonton and that? Is there another fee on top of this, or is that built into our, whatever we've got going to the landfill right now?
This will counteract the surcharge that we would pay at the region with our transfer station. It'll also give us the dollars to recycle them. The transportation cost to take them to Edmonton to recycle them is something that I'm working on currently, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks to give you the option and the costs related to that. And that would likely mean an increase in the budget for the landfill for that contracted service.
Councillor Bevan, follow.
So you ship them to Edmonton there, and I know that I've seen their site and that, and they charge 60 cents a kilometer to come out and pick up everything. Is that going to be, what's 400 kilometers at 60 cents? Gives you a fair idea of what they're going to charge to come and pick it up. So you're going to have to be under that for us to ship it to them.
What I'm going to look at is options for the cost of that. We'll have to have some way to containerize them at our site. So there'll have to be a bin of some kind of a waterproof container so that they aren't wet when they show up at the receiver.
Yeah.
So we'll need containerization. We'll need to look at the transportation and how many bins we'll need a year based on an estimate of how many mattresses we might get. Right now we're going to look at about 1,000 is the base we're looking at. I know it sounds like a surprising number, but 1,000 mattresses is where we're going to start. Industry, it sounds like it's a pretty close number. So we'll need storage, waterproof, and we need to haul it to the city and then pay for the recycling.
Okay, I'm just curious what it's going to cost us on top of everything else and that.
So as am I.
Councillor Barr.
Through the chair to Bruce. Thanks for bringing this forward. So I understand our West Yellowhead Regional Waste Management Authority has proposed this. So I understand that. What are the other landfills around us? If someone were to shop around, is there something that's a better deal that would prevent people from bringing them to us so we could actually recycle them?
There's likely some places that there would be a better deal. I've not looked into that myself. We don't want to become that better deal per se.
For sure.
I really don't have an answer to that question, where they take them. I would suggest that $20 will kind of make everything localized. People in our locale will bring them to us.
Okay.
And those within the Hinton's region will, and then those that are sort of in between will look for some other location, and eventually the surcharge will catch on region-wide. I just think it's important that we get on board sooner than later, so that currently operating that transfer station, every load we take in there, they're going to count them and charge us $20, and we need to recover that amount of expenditure based on a put and pay. So only those that have a mattress will pay.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Councillor Bevan.
To the chair, just comment. Like, I don't get anything picked up at my place. I have to take everything out to the landfill out there. And I notice there's a lot of mattresses out there with the box springs and that. Last time I was out there, there was a 40-yard container full of them and that. And I seen our workers out there with a picker picking through the other ones to clean them up and that. So there is a lot of mattresses go out there, man, for sure. It's unreal. This is a good deal.
Councillor Sorensen.
I just quickly want to say I'm in full support of this motion, and I think it's the right thing to do regionally as well as locally. And I look forward to a presentation or a proposal on how we can actually recycle this material. Thank you.
Councillor Wilkinson.
And as a comment too, I would really like to see regional development and have them recycled here within our area for the region. If we can look into that possibly as a Yellowhead Waste Management body.
All right, thank you. Councillor Barr.
Through the chair to council. I'm also in favor of this. It was just brought up at our youth council meeting that if it only costs $25 or ballpark that to recycle, then why didn't the West Yellowhead Regional Waste Management Authority just have that price instead of $20, and then encourage everybody to recycle instead of paying the $20 and putting the landfill. So I think this is a good start, but perhaps those on the committee could suggest raising that fee from 20 to 25, encouraging our entire region to recycle instead of encouraging it to go to landfill. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Councillor Byer. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? My only comment is, yes, we had a good discussion at Youth Council today, and I think that was a fair point that was made by our youth councillors, and something I know when I was on the authority, we had a robust discussion, and we were able to get support on what's being proposed here today. I think that we need to do the right thing, and there is a huge cost with developing landfill space, and the more that we can keep out of that airspace, the better. And I certainly, looking at if we're getting at least partial cost recovery, I think we should be focused on trying to do the right thing here, like we do with organics, and put it to the right facility. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we're not soaking our residents while other regional municipalities may not be. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. We have no information items, no sundry items. We're going to go to council committee reports.
Mayor, let's grab Councillor Chenard.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Steve, is that where you're going? Thank you.
So grab Councillor Chenard. So we are, for council committee reports, we are going back to February the 18th. And we'll just wait for Councillor Chenard to go for fresh air break. There he is.
I was eating all the snacks.
We will start with Councillor Bevan.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Councillor Curry.
I had a steering committee meeting on February 20th, and that is it.
Oh, easy. Councillor Chenard.
Nothing for council to report.
Okay. Sorry, just give me a second here. A little bit unprepared. Steering committee on February the 20th. Last Tuesday, I was able to attend the throne speech with MLA Long and Mayor Chichak. Had a very good discussion with the MLA following that. Was able to meet the Minister of Municipal Affairs, got a discussion going there, and was actually, I know our council will be meeting with him, but was actually able to arrange a dinner meeting with our regional mayors, some of our regional mayors. Be meeting with him to talk about some of the rural issues. So that was a good opportunity. And can't talk about that. We had the mayor for the day today, and the youth council meeting. So it was a very good day, I think. And we'll hand things over to our mayor for the day, Dylan Farladoe. Do you want to maybe just talk about what you did today?
Okay. At first today when I got picked up from school, we went to the fire hall to get a tour over there, and I got to break down a door. After that, we went to the Rexall place. I got to see where the ice plant was to ice up the rink, and we then went to see the site where I wanted the crosswalk to be built behind the library near the Pine Grove soccer fields. And at the end, we went to the RCMP station, and we got to see forensic scientists, and we got a tour over there, and at the end, we got a tour of this building that we're in right now.
Perfect. And he had a number of meetings as well with different directors and got to explain his idea. And so just so council is aware, Protective Services Department will be looking at that crosswalk idea and talking with Public Works regarding that. And they will also be looking to see whether or not it warrants lighted pedestrian crossings there through data. So I want to thank Dylan for bringing that idea forward. And hopefully you enjoyed Mayor for the Day today. And do you want to show off some of the stuff you won? So he was presented with his award at Youth Council today. So he's got a Town of Edson backpack with a whole bunch of stuff. as I mentioned at youth council, I should run to be mayor for the day because you get more stuff
Yeah, you
that
get
way.
more stuff.
Um,
You know, if you wanna come up to take a picture of them, go ahead.
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was your dad back there.
Yes, it's my
Okay.
sister, so we might as well get a good picture of that there.
it's a Chromebook.
What?
For Mayor for a Day.
Nice.
I want to be here.
You had to be a mayor for 4 years to get one of those.
I know, jeez.
Yeah, we get these.
Oh, very nice.
There's a bunch of Edson, things like toots, reusable water bottles, some
The squirrel pen.
Bop wireless headphones.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Administration be prepared for some requests from council.
I was just thinking we may get more applicants next year
Yeah.
once they see the swag here.
A wireless speaker.
Oh, my goodness me. Very nice. Very nice.
And also a certificate.
Nice.
There's also, Dylan likes to read, so we got him a gift card for Chapters.
Oh, nice.
There is swim pass as well, he likes to swim. Some Twizzlers as well. And then
Now we're
some,
talking.
yeah, and some other stuff that I screwed up at youth council and they laughed at me because I sounded like an old guy, so.
You sound like one.
Yeah.
That's a hoot.
There you go. So once again, thank you, Dylan, for spending the day with me. Hopefully you learned a little bit about municipal government. Thank you for the submission. And we talked about how to improve Mayor for the Day for next year. And hopefully Dylan will be a good ambassador for us moving forward. And I know he's also considering putting his name forward for youth council in the future. So. While you got the floor, Dylan, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask council? No, you're good? Okay.
Well, I'm looking for my backpack.
All right, thank you, Dylan. Councillor Wilkinson.
All right, on February 25th, I met with Alberta Health Services at Parkland Lodge. They just came in to see where they were going to store their medicines, etc., on the memory wing there, that they will be operating through home care. So that was nice to have them come and decide what's happening while it's still under construction. And February 26th, I was at West Yellowhead Regional Waste Management, what a name, meeting, and it was very informative, very interesting about the study that they've had done saying that they should be recycling the mattresses, and I like that idea. I'd sure like to see it as a rural thing. On Friday, the 28th, I went to the spring meeting of ASHA, where I'm a director for the North. And fortunately, in our afternoon, we were joined by two MLAs. Shane Getson came to my table, and Kristen was at a different table, and Martin Long came there. So they were really interested in what was happening with senior and community housing. And afterwards, Martin Long was he was the one who had seen the REMAT article. And then he said he'd be really interested in economic development in our region to set up something. And I said, well, isn't that funny? I just had talked about that the day before. But he's very encouraging. He'd like us to do that. So it was just great to have a chance to discuss things. And I see Shane was discussing things today, so it's famous. All right, thank you.
All right, Councillor Sorensen.
Right, on February 20th, I was at the multiplex steering committee. February 26th, I was at the West Yellowhead Waste Management Authority. And just today, March 3rd, at the Youth Council, and I just want to bring up a good idea I thought for Mayor for the Day that came from the youth councillors, is potentially including Mayor for a Day in a social studies program, so making it part of the curriculum in junior high. Maybe it could be a project that a class could take on, and then if a youth was particularly was interested, they could push it forward to making it an application towards mayor for a day. So I thought that was a great
I like
idea.
that idea.
Yeah,
Very much.
thank you.
All right, Councillor Byer.
Yep. On February 19th, I had an Edson Library Board meeting. We also had a staff appreciation dinner that night. It's one time of the year that we show the staff that we're very thankful for what they do. So that was very nice. We also received a $19,000 donation from a few areas, but one of the main components was TC Energy, so we were very shocked with that, and towards after-school programming. So with that, we are hiring a temporary part-time position to work in the afternoons to do programming for the youth in the library, so as a temporary position until those funds run out. We also unfortunately had a resignation of one of our board members, and we realized that we need to do a better job in when they are applying to be getting the right information from them. So unfortunately this was a health issue, so I don't know if there was anything we could have prevented there, but we are looking for some more members, particularly from the county. We have certain rules that we have to abide within, and we can have maximum 3 county residents, and we have 1 right now, and we feel that it's appropriate to keep that balance there. And then and then today I had the youth council meeting as well before this meeting. So it was really, really good discussions by the youth, and they had some great ideas as mentioned.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We have no financial items. Questions from media and public regarding items from this council meeting?
I don't have any questions.
No questions?
No.
Cassie's been here like half the afternoon, so she's done talking. All right. We have no closed meeting session, so I will take a motion for adjournment. Councillor Chenard will make that motion. Non-debatable. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.